Good evening, I'm Cynthia Ng. You are tuning in to AWANI tonight. Hundreds of thousands of commuters in Klang Valley have been left frustrated after 16 stations of the Kelana Jaya LRT line had to be shut down for a week due to a malfunction. According to Prasarana, the parent company of the LRT operator, Rapid Rail, the problem was detected in the automatic train control or ATC system, which it said had not happened before. Prasarana CEO Muhammad Azharuddin Matsah, in a press conference today, apologized to affected commuters and promised to seek immediate solution. Prasarana engineers, he said, have so far been unable to determine the root cause of the ATC system fault, adding that Canadian engineers from the original equipment manufacturer will arrive in Malaysia on Thursday to assist.
And we need a bit more time to be able to assess what is the problem and find the root cause, and then test out our trains in a sustainable manner. So sebelum kami start operation balik 16 station ini, we want to make sure that we're able to run the train safely and permanently.
Azharuddin said the issue was first detected last Saturday and it persisted even after repairs were undertaken. Prasarana is also looking at compensating riders with monthly tickets who are affected from the disruption. As a temporary solution, it has deployed feeder buses to ferry commuters to their destinations. Azharuddin said that in the long term, the company will replace the entire ATC system for the Kelana Jaya line, which had been operating for nearly 25 years and needs replacements for all its mechanical parts. Rapid Rail is the Prasarana subsidiary which manages and operates the LRT network and the KL monorail. The government has also apologized to commuters affected by the disruption of the Kelana Jaya LRT line. Transport Minister Dr. Sri Wikasyong says that experts from Turkey and Canada will be flown in to identify the cause of the ATC system breakdown. This is on top of staff from the original equipment manufacturer, Thales Group, who are expected to arrive tomorrow. Wikasyong has also instructed Prasarana to provide updates at least once every 3 hours regarding the disruption. Tonight, we will be taking a closer look at the Batu parliamentary seat, which will be the most crowded fight this general election with 10 candidates in the race. Nearly half of those vying for the seat are also independents. Faye Kwan joins me now with more.
Thank you, Cynthia. Now, this GE15, there will be 108 independent candidates, the highest ever in Malaysian history. Of course, this will lead to many multi-cornered fights. And if we take a look at some of the most heavily contested seats, we can see that Batu comes up top with 10 people throwing their hats in the ring, 4 of which are independents. But not far behind, we've got Ampang with 9 candidates, 3 of which are independents. Sepang, 8 candidates, 2 independents, as well as Bangi and Kota Raja, each with 8 candidates and 3 independents. It's important to note, though, that all of these are urban seats, all with at least 2 independent candidates vying to become the next MP. So the question really is, will they be able to sway the ballot? Well, if we look a little bit closer at Batu, we can see this time round there will be 113,000 plus registered voters, and based on demographics and ethnicity, it will be quite a mixed vote. We can see the Malays make up 43% of all residents here, but that's closely followed by the Chinese at 30%, Indians at 20%, and others at 7%. There will also be more young voters in the mix this time round. In fact, most voters or many voters in Batu will be within the age category of 21 to 39. But who will the urban youth be voting for? Well, before we dive into that, a little look at what took place in Batu in GE14, we can see that it's not impossible for an independent candidate to win the race, MP Prabhakaran managed to achieve this, commanding 60% of all the votes as compared to his contenders in BN, PAS and another independent. Of course, this was when he had the backing by PKR because the incumbent Batu MP at that time, Chua Tian Chang, better known as Tian Chua, was unable to contest. This time, though, Tian Chua is back in the race as an independent. And we can see that he's kind of switched seats with Prabhakaran, who is now a member of PKR. And the two will be going head-to-head with 8 other contestants. Some notable mentions, we've got Barisan Nasional's Ekoilan Pillay, Perikatan Nasional's Azhar Yahya, as well as the 3 other independent candidates. There's lawyer and activist Siti Kasim, Fatia Shazwana, an entrepreneur and better known on social media as Cleopatra, as well as Tu Cheng Huat. So, Cynthia, many dynamics at play here, and it will be very interesting to see the outcomes in Batu this GE15. Back to you.
Thanks for that, Faye. Certainly many dynamics at play, and here to discuss this further, we have political analyst Mujibu Abdul Muiz. Now, Mujibu, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Before we get to Batu, I do want to get your thoughts. Record number of independent candidates this GE15, 108, far more than the 24 independent candidates that contested in parliamentary seats in GE14. Can you talk to us about your observations? Why are there more independent candidates throwing their hat into the ring this time around?
Well, politically speaking, this is good for our democratization process. But somehow, we are still hard to see that these independent candidates will getting vote shares from their people, especially when there is confident issues. That people would like to see that people who are coming or contesting for parties is giving them much more stability and confidence rather than independence, since we are talking in the end of the day of the election that majority seats that need to be win in order to form a government. So when independent candidate, let's say, win any constituency, there is a tendency or there is a perception that they may jump into a stable political parties, maybe joining the government or let's say joining an established political party after that. But somehow, this is a very good development in our Malaysian political landscape, and hope to see that there will be more and more people who are willing to contest in election as an independent candidates and offers us a variety in the election.
Certainly. I also want to point out what Faye said earlier about how urban seats seem to have the most number of independent candidates. We are seeing activists, professionals, and also politicians drop by their parties. What do you make of this, and how will they make an impact in the ballot box?
Yeah, we are talking about urban areas in which the voters there is a bit urbanized. They have fair access to information, and of course, they are issue-based or need-based voters rather than loyal to any party or depending on who's the candidate when deciding in the ballot box. So for me, it is no wonder when we are seeing more and more independent candidates flooding the urban areas and offering themselves to contest in an election, due to the fact that Batu, as we speak now, have written in history when Prabhakaran as an independent candidate on the last GE14 won the seat due to the fact that Tian Chua, the incumbent, were not eligible to contest on that election. And of course, the situation during the GE15, which is not siding the Barisan Nasional candidates so much, and those Prabhakaran emerged as a victor during the time. And this will be a lesson learned to everybody that this is a seat where everybody may stand a chance to win it. And of course, with a good strategy and a good exposure, or maybe with a good, what we call walkabout, personal touch and everything, they can wrestle this with, and of course, pitting the former MP as well as the current MP all together will make voters there a bit difficult to compare between themselves, and finally they may choose the independent candidates instead.
think at the end, what we're trying to see here is, will independent candidates stand a chance at all? Now, going back to Batu as an example, there are 4 independent candidates contesting in that seat alone. What do they have to offer voters as compared to those backed by their political parties, which they have more resources and more backing? What kind of difference can they make here?
Well, they can offer sincerity, I guess, by looking at their background, as an influencer, as a lawyer, as an social activist. I believe people are more convinced that if they are coming with right parties instead of contesting as an independent candidate, they may offer some sincerity and good services to the people there. And of course, this Batu, as we speak now, Cynthia, pitting the incumbent and the former MP for Batu will definitely going to be comparing by the voters, and of course they are going to say that how they are going to compare the services, so on and so forth. And of course, by this variety of background in independent candidates, I believe sincerity is one of the things that they may offer, rather than, of course, coming for the candidates who are backed by resourceful parties, much more stable, and of course much more convincing, rather than the independent.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mujibu, for your insights. Always a pleasure to have you with us here on AWANI tonight. Selangor and Negeri Sembilan have declared state holidays on November 18th in view of the general election polling day on November 19th. Selangor Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Amiruddin Syari and Negeri Sembilan State Secretary Datuk Razali Abdul Malik said they both say that this is to encourage people to go back to their hometowns to vote. Amiruddin also urged Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob to declare November 18th a public holiday nationwide. Ismail Sabri has said that the government is currently studying the proposal. Barisan Nasional Sungai Buloh candidate Khairi Jamaluddin said that he is ready to lead the country and become Prime Minister, the first time he has openly declared his intention. The caretaker Health Minister, however, stressed that he is willing to wait and support UMNO Vice President Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob to become PM if Barisan Nasional wins in G15.
You support me today. Orang Sungai Buloh sokong saya hari ini, insyaAllah. InsyaAllah dengan takdir Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. Dengan sokongan daripada rakan-rakan, one day I want to lead UMNO. One day I want to be your Prime Minister. Untuk kita bangunkan negara ini. But I must win here first.
Khairi is in a 7-cornered fight for the Sungai Buloh seat, facing off Pakatan Harapan's R. Ramanan, Perikatan Nasional's Muhammad Ghazali Muhammad Hamin, Pejuang's Muhammad Akmal Muhammad Yusof, Parti Rakyat Malaysia's Ahmad Zulkifli Faiza, and independent candidates Syed Abdul Razid Syed Long Al Sagaf and Nur Haslinda Basri.
The Coalition for Clean and Fair Elections, Bersih, has called on all 21 million eligible voters to go out and vote this 19th November. With the launch of its Vote Future campaign, the political watchdog aims to achieve a voter turnout of no less than 70%, or 14.8 million voters, an increase of 2.5 million voters compared to GE14. Chairperson Thomas Phan highlighted the important role of first-time voters to help achieve this goal.
It is very unlikely that we will get the same high 80% voters turnout. Unlikely, simply because of this huge influx of new voters in. Now, if everyone, 12.3 million who voted in G14 were to come out, the voter turnout rate for G15 would only be 58%, a record low. 58%. If everybody who was excited as they were in G14 to come out, 58%. So what we need in this election are the new first-time voters, the young and those who have never been registered before to come out, or at least about 2.5 million to come out before we can touch 70% voters turnout. So that is the first challenge, just the increase in the number of voters.
Before we leave you tonight, we want to hear your thoughts on GE15. Here is the question of the day. We want to know if you are satisfied with the political manifestos announced by the coalitions. The results of these questionnaires will be revealed daily. That is all for AWANI tonight. My name is Cynthia Ng. Thank you for watching.